In the world of rare coins, few stories capture collectors' imaginations quite like the tale of the 1972 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent penny error coin. It's small, it's familiar, and yet it hides a stunning secret that could make it worth far more than anyone would ever expect from a simple penny. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a handful of coins, and realizing one of them might be worth as much as a luxury car or even more. That's the thrill that comes with knowing the story behind this incredible piece of American minting history. The 1972 Lincoln penny, like most others, features the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, the front of the coin, designed by Victor David Brenner. It's a design that has graced the U.S. 1-cent coin since 1909, marking Lincoln's 100th birthday. On the reverse, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of unity and national pride. But what makes some of these coins from 1972 so special isn't the design at all. It's an error, an accident that occurred deep within the U.S. Mint's production process, that turned a humble cent into a collector's dream. In the early 1970s, the Philadelphia Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents. The demand for coins was enormous, and machines worked non-stop to strike each piece. The process involved creating dies, steel stamps that pressed the coin's design into blank metal discs. To ensure clarity and precision, the dies were often impressed multiple times with the master design. But occasionally something went wrong. If the die shifted slightly between strikes, it would create what collectors call a double die. When coins are struck with these flawed dies, the resulting details appear doubled, like a ghost image shadowing the original design. That's exactly what happened with the 1972 Lincoln penny. The most famous version, known as the 1972 doubled die obverse, shows dramatic doubling on the inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date 1972. It's so pronounced that you can see the duplication with the naked eye. It's not a minor flaw. It's a bold, unmistakable doubling that leaps off the coin's surface. This kind of error was not intentional, but it gave birth to one of the most visually striking and desirable pennies in U.S. history. Collectors who come across one of these error coins often describe the moment as surreal. It's as if a regular penny suddenly transforms into treasure right before their eyes. That's because these coins can command astonishing prices, depending on their condition and the clarity of the doubling. While regular 1972 pennies are worth face value, just 1 cent, the double die version has sold for thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars at auction. In some of the most remarkable cases, pristine, high-grade examples have been valued anywhere from $60,520 to $142,500, a life-changing amount for something so small and seemingly ordinary. Think about that for a second. A coin that cost the government just a fraction of a cent to produce could now be worth more than a fully loaded luxury car or even a house in some parts of the country. That's the kind of magic that draws people into coin collecting. It's a mix of history, chance, and discovery, all contained within a tiny piece of copper. The 1972 double die penny is particularly famous because of how visible and bold its error is. Many coin errors require magnification to detect, but not this one. Even a casual observer can spot the doubled lettering. When you hold it under good light, the separation between the doubled lines becomes obvious, especially around the Liberty and the date. It's that boldness that makes it so appealing to both seasoned collectors and beginners alike. But here's where things get tricky. Not every 1972 penny with a slight doubling effect is the real deal. The U.S. Mint produced a few varieties that have only minor or machine-based doubling, and these are far less valuable. True double die pennies from 1972, especially the variety known as double die obverse number 1, show clear, strong separation in the lettering. Authentic examples are verified and graded by professional coin grading services like PCGS or NGC, which can confirm their authenticity and assign a grade based on condition. Grading plays a huge role in determining how much your coin might be worth. A heavily circulated 1972 double die penny, the kind that's been passed through countless hands and registers, might fetch a few $100s. But an uncirculated coin, one that's been carefully preserved since the day it was minted, could be worth thousands. And in top grades, those with a sharp strike, brilliant luster, and virtually no signs of wear, the price skyrockets. That's where you find those headline-making figures in the range of $60,520 to $142,500, depending on where and when it sells. The emotional connection many collectors feel toward the Lincoln penny also fuels its appeal. It's not just about money, it's about legacy. Lincoln is one of the most respected figures in American history, and his image on the coin has become a symbol of endurance and humility. Holding a rare error version of that same coin feels like holding a small, accidental piece of history, a reminder that even the most carefully controlled systems sometimes produce something beautifully unique. Some collectors spend years hunting for the 1972 double-die penny, checking every penny that passes through their hands. Stories circulate online of people finding one in old jars of coins, inherited collections, or even in loose change. These discoveries spark waves of excitement, inspiring others to start checking their coins too. It's this sense of discovery and possibility that keeps the hobby alive and thriving. After all, it's thrilling to imagine that an overlooked penny sitting in a drawer could secretly be worth more than $100,000. The market for rare coins has always been influenced by a mix of rarity, condition, and collector demand. The 1972 double-die penny ticks all those boxes. It's rare enough to be special but common enough that there's always hope of finding one. Its error is dramatic and easy to spot, and it connects to one of the most popular U.S. coin series ever minted. When you combine those elements, you get a recipe for enduring fascination. Auction houses love coins like this because they attract attention. When a high-grade 1972 double-die penny goes up for sale, bidding wars can break out among serious collectors. The energy in the room or even online is electric. Each bidder knows they're not just competing for a coin, but for a piece of American history. These sales often make headlines in collector magazines and websites, further increasing the coin's legend and desirability. And yet, the beauty of this story lies in its accessibility. You don't need to be a millionaire to get started in coin collecting. All it takes is curiosity and attention to detail. Every time you handle a penny from 1972, take a moment to look closely. Tilt it under the light, focus on the inscriptions, and check for that unmistakable doubling. You never know. You could be holding a fortune right in the palm of your hand. Collectors often say that the thrill isn't just in finding something valuable. It's in the hunt itself. The search for rare coins like the 1972 double-die penny connects people to history, to craftsmanship, and to the simple joy of discovery. And that's what makes this tiny coin so powerful. It's more than metal. It's a story of human error, chance, and the enduring fascination with finding hidden value in everyday life. So the next time you see a handful of pennies, don't just dismiss them as pocket change. Somewhere among them, there might be a treasure waiting to be found. Somewhere, a small copper coin with a doubled 1972 and a shadowed Liberty might just be sitting quietly, waiting for the right pair of eyes to notice. That's the beauty of the 1972 Lincoln penny error. It reminds us that extraordinary things often hide in plain sight. And for those lucky enough to discover one in stunning condition, that ordinary cent could turn into an unforgettable payday, anywhere from $60,520 to $142,500, depending on its preservation and rarity. It's a testament to how a simple mistake at the mint decades ago continues to inspire excitement, curiosity, and wonder even today. So keep your eyes open, check your change, and remember, the next great coin discovery might be just a penny away. There's something truly fascinating about how the smallest details can change everything, especially when it comes to coins. The 1980 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent penny might look ordinary to most people, but within its tiny frame lies a story that has captured the attention of collectors around the world. Imagine holding a coin worth just 1 cent, something you might toss into a jar without thinking twice, only to find out it could actually be worth more than a luxury car. That's the reality for some rare 1980 Lincoln pennies with minting errors, coins that have stunned collectors and casual finders alike, reaching astonishing values between $54,330 and $129,500, depending on their condition and rarity. The story of this particular penny begins in an era of transition. The year 1980 was a turning point for many things in America. Technology was advancing, industries were shifting, and the U.S. Mint was keeping up with demand by producing billions of coins. The Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for over 70 years by then, featuring the timeless portrait of President Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. On the reverse side, the Lincoln Memorial stood proudly, symbolizing unity and the American spirit. But while billions of 1980 pennies were struck, a very small number came out differently, bearing an error that transformed them from simple pocket change into rare treasures. To understand why these coins are so special, we have to look closely at how pennies are made. Each coin begins as a blank metal disc that's pressed between two dies, one for the obverse or front, and one for the reverse or back. These dies carry the engraved designs and inscriptions that are transferred to the coin under immense pressure. However, when something goes wrong in this process, fascinating and valuable mistakes can occur. Sometimes it's a doubled image, sometimes a misaligned strike, and other times an entirely unexpected minting flaw that makes the coin unique. The 1980 Lincoln penny error is one of those extraordinary mistakes. Among the billions of regular pennies, a few emerged with what collectors call a doubled die on the obverse. This means that during the creation of the die, it was struck twice by the master hub, but not in perfect alignment. The result is a subtle yet unmistakable doubling effect on the inscriptions, particularly around the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1980. To the untrained eye, it might just look like a shadow or a blur, but to a collector, that doubling is pure gold, well, in this case, pure copper. At first glance, you might wonder how such an error could slip through the meticulous production process at the U.S. Mint. The answer lies in the incredible scale of operations. In 1980, the Philadelphia Mint alone produced over 7 billion Lincoln cents. When machines are running at that capacity, even a small error can multiply quickly before it's caught. And since there was no mint mark used on pennies from Philadelphia at that time, all 1980 Lincoln cents without a D or S mark trace back to that facility. Somewhere in that massive production run, a few double dies were used, creating a handful of coins that would go on to become legendary. Collectors and coin hunters love these stories because they're a reminder that even with all our technology, perfection is rare. Every coin with a double die tells a story of precision, chance, and the human element behind the machine. It's this blend of craftsmanship and unpredictability that gives the 1980 era penny its charm. And that charm, coupled with scarcity, drives its value skyward. Depending on its condition and how clearly the doubling can be seen, one of these pennies can sell for anywhere between $54,330 and $129,500 at auction, a mind-bending figure for something so small. What determines where a particular coin lands in that price range? It all comes down to grading. Coins are graded based on their condition, with professional services like PCGS and NGC assigning a numerical grade from 1 to 70. The higher the grade, the closer the coin is to its original mint state, meaning no scratches, no wear, and perfect luster. A circulated 1980 double die penny might still fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars, but an uncirculated, gem-quality example is where the serious money starts. Those pristine coins, untouched by time or use, are the ones collectors dream of finding. There's also something undeniably exciting about how this kind of discovery happens. Many stories begin with someone simply sorting through their spare change. Maybe they were cleaning out an old drawer, maybe they were rolling coins for the bank, or maybe they were just curious. They spot something unusual, an extra line on the lettering, a doubling in the date, and then, after a bit of research, the realization hits. They're holding a coin that could change their life. It's a little piece of history, a product of chance, and a symbol of how fortune can hide in plain sight. Even today, decades after 1980, the hunt for error pennies continues. Coin enthusiasts know that rare varieties often slip into circulation unnoticed, especially when the differences are subtle. Online communities and coin forums buzz with stories of discoveries. People finding 1980 double die pennies or other unusual varieties in pocket change or inherited coin jars. Every new find reignites the passion of collectors everywhere, proving that the thrill of discovery never really fades. The story of the 1980 penny isn't just about the doubling error, though. That year's production was filled with interesting nuances. The U.S. Mint was transitioning toward the use of more advanced hubbing techniques and quality control systems, but even with improvements, the occasional anomaly made it through. The 1980 penny serves as a bridge between old minting technology and the modern systems that would dominate in later years. that makes it a fascinating snapshot of numismatic history, connecting past and future in a way only coins can. When you hold a 1980 penny, it's easy to overlook it as just another piece of copper. But when you realize that a small number of them hold a hidden doubling, the perspective changes. Suddenly, that tiny coin becomes a time capsule, a tangible link to a moment when something unexpected happened inside the mint. And because only a few of those flawed dies were used, finding one of these error coins today is like striking gold. In the coin collecting world, rarity drives value, but so does recognition. The 1980 double die penny has become one of the better-known modern error coins, frequently mentioned alongside other famous double dies like the 1955 and 1972 varieties. Its sharp doubling and distinct look make it instantly recognizable once you've seen a genuine example. And with the increasing visibility of coin collecting on social media, videos, and online marketplaces, more people than ever are aware of these rare gems, fueling demand and pushing prices even higher. There's something poetic about the fact that the Lincoln penny, America's most common coin, can also be home to some of its rarest and most valuable mistakes. It reflects the idea that even the most ordinary things can become extraordinary under the right circumstances. Every time someone discovers a double die penny, it reinforces that sense of wonder, that moment where history, art, and luck collide. So, what should you do if you come across a 1980 Lincoln penny? The first step is simple: look closely. Use a magnifying glass and inspect the inscriptions carefully. Pay particular attention to Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date. If you see any signs of doubling, distinct separate lines instead of a faint blur, you might have something special. From there, the next step is verification. Having your coin authenticated and graded by a professional service not only confirms its legitimacy but also maximizes its value if you ever decide to sell it. Every collector dreams of finding that one special coin, the piece that sets their collection apart or changes their financial outlook forever. The 1980 Lincoln penny error represents that dream perfectly. It's rare enough to be exciting, visible enough to be recognized, and valuable enough to spark hope in anyone who handles coins. It stands as a reminder that hidden treasures are still out there, waiting for a careful eye and a bit of curiosity to uncover them. And who knows? Maybe the next time you pick up a penny from 1980, you won't just be holding a piece of metal worth 1 cent. You might be holding a hidden masterpiece of minting history, a small copper coin that tells a story of chance, precision, and imperfection. And if you're one of the lucky few who happens to find one in flawless condition, you could be looking at a coin worth somewhere between $54,330 and $129,500. Proof that sometimes even the smallest things can carry the biggest surprises.
Every once in a while, a simple coin that passes through millions of hands ends up hiding a story so incredible it can change the way you look at pocket change forever. That's exactly what happened with the 2001 USA Lincoln 1-cent penny error coin. On the surface, it's just another penny, another small piece of copper-plated zinc that you might toss into a jar or spend without a second thought. But beneath that modest appearance lies an unexpected treasure, one that can be worth a staggering amount of money if you happen to recognize the signs. The 2001 Lincoln penny continues the long legacy of America's most recognized coin, carrying the proud image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design originally created by Victor David Brenner back in 1909. The reverse, during that time, still featured the Lincoln Memorial, a design by Frank Gasparo that symbolizes respect and national pride. Billions of these coins were struck that year at the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Yet among all those billions, a small number left the mint with a critical flaw, an error so distinct that collectors immediately began to talk about it. It's these rare mistakes that turn ordinary coins into high-value collectibles. To understand how something as small as a penny can become worth tens of thousands of dollars, you need to understand what a mint error actually is. The USA Mint operates massive presses that strike blank discs of metal called planchets with engraved dies that carry the coin's design. When the dies, blanks, or machinery misalign, or when debris, double strikes, or planchet flaws occur, the results can be spectacular. The 2001 Lincoln penny saw several such minting errors, but a few stand above the rest as the most sought after. Among them are examples of off-center strikes, where the design isn't perfectly centered on the coin, leaving part of the image missing and a blank crescent along the edge. Others show broad strikes, where the coin was struck without the retaining collar, causing it to spread out wider than usual. Then there are double-struck coins, those that received a second, slightly shifted impression. Each of these errors has its own charm, its own story, and its own market value, depending on how dramatic and eye-catching the mistake is. But among the 2001 pennies, some of the most valuable examples are those that were struck on the wrong planchet or those showing clear double that features on Lincoln's face and inscriptions. Imagine pulling a 2001 penny from your change and noticing something strange. Maybe the letters of Liberty appear shadowed, or the date looks slightly doubled. Maybe the edge of the coin feels irregular, or part of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse is missing entirely. That's the moment many collectors dream of, because if your coin happens to be one of these rare error examples, it might not be worth 1 cent, it could be worth thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars. Over the years, certain 2001 Lincoln penny errors have surfaced at auctions and private sales, stunning even seasoned collectors with their value. Some pristine examples with dramatic double strikes or off-metal planchet errors have fetched jaw-dropping amounts. Depending on the condition, rarity, and type of error, one of these 2001 penny errors could sell for anywhere between $44,500 to $118,650. That's right, something you might overlook in your spare change could be worth more than an expensive watch or even a small car. Part of what makes the 2001 penny error story so fascinating is timing. By 2001, the mint's production technology had advanced far beyond what it was in earlier decades. Quality control was tight, and errors were relatively rare. So when something slipped through the cracks, it stood out. Collectors love coins that shouldn't they exist, coins that defy the precision of modern machinery. And the 2001 errors fit that description perfectly. Each one is a reminder that even the most advanced systems are still run by humans and machines that can, occasionally, make mistakes. Let's imagine a collector flipping through rolls of pennies, searching for anything out of the ordinary. Hours turn into days, and most coins look perfectly normal. But then, suddenly, there it is, a coin where Lincoln's face looks doubled, or a misaligned strike that pushes the design toward one edge. The heart races, the magnifying glass comes out, and the excitement builds. That's the thrill of coin collecting, the rush of realizing you've found something truly special that almost no one else has. Experts often point out that the 2001 penny errors are particularly appealing because they're part of a modern series that's easy to find. Almost everyone in America has handled one at some point. You don't need to dig through ancient coins or spend a fortune on old collections to start the hunt. All you need is a little patience and a keen eye. Sometimes, that's all it takes to turn a coin worth 1 cent into something worth more than $100,000. So what exactly should you be looking for if you hope to find one of these rare 2001 penny errors? Start with the details. Examine the date, the inscriptions, and Lincoln's profile. If any of these show doubling, especially visible without magnification, you could be looking at a double die error. If the coin's shape looks off or the edge appears stretched, it might be a broad strike. And if the coin looks like it's been struck on a different metal or seems lighter or heavier than normal, it could have been struck on the wrong planchet. Each of these signs is a potential key to something rare. Condition, as always, plays a huge role. A coin that has been in circulation for years will show wear and tear, scratches, dullness, and fading details. While even worn examples of rare errors can be valuable, the real money lies in coins that are uncirculated or nearly pristine. Those that have been graded by professional services like PCGS or MGC as mint state, MAS, coins can bring premium prices. It's in this upper echelon that we see those incredible valuations. Coins reaching that astonishing range between $44,500 and $118,650 depending on their specific error and grade. Every coin tells a story. And error coins tell stories of imperfection, of accidents that somehow made something even more desirable. The 2001 Lincoln penny error isn't just a coin, it's a piece of minting history that reminds us how valuable mistakes can become. It represents the intersection of art, technology, and chance. And for collectors, it represents the ultimate treasure hunt. What makes this story even more exciting is how accessible it is. Anyone can search for these coins. You don't need expensive equipment or insider access. People have found valuable 2001 error pennies in pocket change, in jars of old coins, or in collections handed down from relatives. The sense of possibility is endless. Every time you handle a penny, you could be holding something extraordinary without even realizing it. There is something poetic about the idea that a simple penny, something we often ignore or dismiss, can hold such value. It's a reminder that worth isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's hidden beneath the surface, waiting for someone to look closely enough to see it. That's the beauty of coin collecting. It trains the eye to see the extraordinary in the ordinary. The next time you come across a 2001 penny, take a moment to look carefully. Hold it under good lighting and pay attention to the details. Is the lettering crisp and clean, or does it show a hint of doubling? Does the strike look centered, or is it shifted to one side? These small details can make all the difference. The right combination could mean you're holding a coin that's worth thousands, maybe even more. Collectors know that the 2001 Lincoln penny error isn't just about the money. It's about the chase, the excitement of discovery and the connection to American minting history. Every error coin is unique, a one-of-a-kind accident that can never be replicated. And that's what makes them so special. They're snapshots of imperfection that ended up creating something truly remarkable. So as you go about your day, maybe buying a coffee or paying for parking, remember that the coins in your pocket are more than just change. They're tiny artifacts of history, and some of them might just be worth a fortune. Somewhere out there, a 2001 penny with a rare mint error is waiting to be found. And when it is, it will once again remind the world that even in something as ordinary as a penny, there can be extraordinary value. Sometimes as high as $44,500 to $118,650. Keep your eyes open, because you never know when luck might strike. One small coin could tell a big story, and that story could begin with a 2001 Lincoln penny hiding quietly among your spare change, just waiting for you to notice.